all guys from the chat, and they're just brutal, brutal drafts where wide receivers go off the shelves as if it's like Y2K and the power grid is going to be shutting down all wide receivers for the rest of eternity.
So what we're looking at is a big, Byron Pringle, Dwayne Eskridge, T.Y. Hilton style draft.
Exactly. So the three of us will be.
So, sorry you had a little bit of a silence there. I'm in the Peter Overzet 10 a.m. video draft, and I wanted to make sure I got into the draft that he's in, and then I wanted to close out the stream, so, not like stream sniping him or whatever. I just had it on to make sure that I got into the same draft. So I'm pick 9, he's pick 12. Probably going to be looking at, wide receivers tend to go kind of early in his draft, so maybe I'll be looking at a running back. I'm, just going to take whatever the top 5 guys on this board is available at 109. Nothing too interesting going on here. I'll be taking Barkley, Kelsey, Taylor, or Tyreek Hill. Probably have Kelsey and Taylor. It's like my top 2. And then, so we'll be taking, Kelsey, Taylor, or Tyreek Hill. Not really too much decisions to be made there. Going to take Tyreek Hill because I know how his drafts run, and I know that wide receivers tend to fly off the board. So, I've never taken Hill over Taylor, but I also have tons and tons of Taylor. I have, no Hill, and I do know in this specific draft, wide receivers are going to be harder to come by than normal. So, Peter's up on the turn. See if he goes his normal wide receiver heavy, or if he pivots to some running backs. We will likely be picking a running back with our second pick. One thing we want to keep in mind is game stacking for week 17. If we have Mahomes available in round 3, we then can kind of look at a Kansas City, Cincinnati game stack for week 17. No, he takes Calvin Ridley. I still haven't gotten to take Ridley Diggs yet at turn, which is what I really want to do one time. So I'm kind of leaning towards running back for our next pick. I think Devontae Adams is also a pretty reasonable second pick, or Hopkins. Do know that running backs are going to fall further than they normally do in his drafts. Ooh, he took Cam Akers. Kind of expected him to draft 2 wide receivers, but that's cool. Pretty good value there on Akers at the turn. Probably I'm kind of between Devontae Adams and the top 2 running backs. I do like D-Hop quite a bit as well. D-Hop goes, all right, I'm just going to take Nick Chubb here. This is not crazy late for Nick Chubb, but it's a little later than you normally get him. We'll not be getting one of the big 3 tight ends, but that's all right. We've gotten quite a bit of them. I actually started to get some Waller now, so I've gotten even more Kittle. I haven't really been getting any Kelsey lately, but I just really haven't been picking in the middle of the first round. I've been picking either early or late first round on all my drafts, and nothing in the middle. So we will be looking for Patrick Mahomes in round 3. I do think there's a good chance we won't get him. The person that takes Kelsey might grab him. So there's a decent chance that we don't get Patrick Mahomes in round 3. We don't have to take Patrick Mahomes in round 3 if some sort of crazy value falls to us. The guy who is taking Kelsey will then be on, the opposite side of us, so we would get another pick before that guy. Kittle going at 2.8. I have so much George Kittle. So much. Love getting those San Francisco-Houston game stacks. So yeah, pretty happy with our first 2 picks. Guys I have interest in the next round, kind of Mahomes, Allen Robinson, J.K. Dobbins. Don't really have to make any big choices. Because we didn't start, with 2 wide receivers or 2 running backs, so we're not kind of pushed towards anything. This draft's moving a little slower than I expected it to. Wow, somebody's going to get crazy Aaron Jones value. So the next guy is kind of the first guy that could take Patrick Mahomes. I mean, obviously anyone could, but yeah, Aaron Jones at 3.6 is sick. So I expect this guy is going to take Patrick Mahomes, but he may not. He takes Allen Robinson. Now the question is, do we want to take Patrick Mahomes? I think the answer is we do, especially since so many of these guys are not big on running backs. So we'll have a pretty decent running back option with our next pick if we want it. So we got Mahomes, Chubb, and Tyreek. Would expect wide receivers to extra fly off the board in these drafts. Should be able to get some decent value in the next few rounds on wide receiver. Tight end will be kind of an interesting battle deciding when to take one of those. So Peter's on the clock. Ooh, DJ Moore, not a guy I like very much this year. Wow, he actually has 2 running backs this early. It's fairly surprising for him. So we all know who I'm picking unless he goes this pick. If he does go... It's going to be a little hard for us to get Bengals to come back for a Week 17 game stack. I'm sure no one is surprised that we're selecting there. Happily selecting J.K. Dobbins in round 4. Definitely liking how this draft has started. So we definitely can afford to just go 2 QBs if we have Mahomes, So I'm going to probably stay away from, Lance and Fields because I don't like drafting them in 2 QB builds. I also only pretty much draft Fields if I draft Allen Robinson, which has been very, very rare. I don't think in Best Ball Mania I've actually gotten a Fields or Allen Robinson share, but I do have some in other tournaments. So yeah, with Hopkins going off before our pick, If I had selected Jonathan Taylor, I probably would have ended up with Devontae Adams in round 2. Then I wouldn't have picked Patrick Mahomes. It's possible that would have ended up a better build than this one, but it also would be. Build is more unique for me. I don't think I have a Tyreek Hill Mahomes stack yet in this tournament, so definitely fairly pleased to get that. Yeah, we're not going to get any of the good Bengals targets to go for a Week 17 game stack with Kansas City. Might be able to get Tyler Boyd if we want him, but at his ADP, I'm just pretty much out on him. His ADP is disgusting. I did a weird series of trades in Dynasty when I was trying to get out of Tyler Boyd, but I was a win now team. So I just traded Tyler Boyd for the 2.01, and then I traded the 2.01 for Robert Woods. So T. Higgins and Chase are off the board, so Week 17 game stack is pretty much dead as far as Kansas City Cincinnati goes. Travis Etienne going a little early. There's not too much good value left at running back. There is definitely some decent value at quarterback, but with Mahomes, we're probably not going to be taking another quarterback for a while. Just kind of perusing the game stacks and seeing if there's anything that's kind of open to us at all for the good Week 17 matchups, and there really isn't. So I guess that's something we're just not going to worry about for the rest of this draft. 3 picks away. A couple running backs I have interest in. TJ Hawkinson I have interest in. What are we looking at for wide receivers? Brandon Ayuk I have interest in. Then probably not, guys, until the next round. So we'll probably be going for a running back, Hawkinson or Ayuk. I think we'll be going for a running back or Hawkinson and Andrews are both there. I think Josh Jacobs is just glaringly the best available value, so we're just going to take Josh Jacobs. So we're kind of looking at Hawkinson, Andrews, or a wide receiver. Well, I think we can click QBs off for the time being. Concentrate on these positions. Don't think we'll get Tyler Boyd. We might get a shot at getting Nicole Hardman to go with Patrick Mahomes a little bit later on. Peter takes Andrews. Goes Dell. Really not too big on DJ Chark, so all right. Pretty happy that Cortland Sutton did not go that pick. Got Tyreek and Sutton. We can kind of light up more positions now. So, because we have 2 running backs the same bye week. We're probably going to draft 5, which means probably not going to draft another one until like round 10 or 11, and then one really late. So we'll probably be hammering either wide receivers or tight ends for the next few rounds, unless something that is just like stupid value falls to us at running back. One thing that stinks about drafting Cortland Sutton is I am not interested in a Denver stack because I don't think that either quarterback is going to start all year. I have, in desperation, ended up with a one Drew Lock stack where I had like Cortland Sutton and I can't remember if it was Sutton and Hamler or Sutton and Judy or Judy and Hamler. I really needed a third quarterback, so I just took Drew Lock at the end. Assuming that if those guys were to hit their ceilings, it would be Lock under center and not Teddy Bridgewater. So 9 picks away, still quite a few. Wow, this guy got Dak at the 6'10". It's pretty nice. No stack pieces for him. He's also on the Hero RB. Peter has a pretty balanced team. Looks like he's going to try to get a Sam Darnold stack going. Boyd goes off, so that pretty much shuts us off to any real opportunity for a Week 17 game stack with Kansas City. We do have interest in Mecole Hardman still to go with Tyreek and Patrick Mahomes. As far as I'm concerned, the next guy on the list for Kansas City is Robinson, and I really only take him if I'm 1 desperate and 2 have Patrick Mahomes, which could end up happening in this draft. Both of those things could end up being true. We have a guy here who has not drafted a running back yet. He's got Diggs, Cooper, Lockett, Claypool, and Debo. Well, not only has he not drafted he does have one player of a different position, Darren Waller. I was about to say he's only drafted wide receivers, but that would not have been true. There's some interest in Juju, Will Fuller, Higbee, some of these running backs. The wide receiver value is bad. Very, very bad. Juju going there is pretty much a death sentence to us taking a wide receiver here. Could just take Trey Sermon. Gonna do that, unfortunately. Yep. These drafts are gonna be really, really tough with the wide receivers. So we're gonna kind of click running back off now because we're not gonna pick it again for quite a while. And we're gonna look for our 5th running back to be Jerick McKinnon, since he can catch passes from Mahomes and create stack points that way. And I do want a 5th running back because I have these 2 guys at the same bye week, but I also have a ton of capital in running back, so pretty much only interested in round 17 or 18, Jerick McKinnon. So tons of wide receivers I'm pretty interested for this next pick that we have. There goes one of them. Could end up just taking Higbee if it gets too ugly. don't really want to do that. I think that can be easily a 3 tight end build and 2 quarterbacks with our Mahomes. All right. I'll take McCole Hardman and lock up the Mecole, Tyreek, Patrick Mahomes stack. Be a little careful with getting more by week 12 wide receivers. Not to say that we can't get another one, but if we get the next one we get is going to be the last one, so we don't really want to get the next one right away because it might limit our choices later on. Although I don't think week 12 is a very contested bye week. There might only be 2 teams with that bye week. It's not one I remember running into many issues with. I would not have taken Hardman where I took him if I didn't have Mahomes. Took him, about a round above ADP. So pretty much know who we want to take as our last running back and have that. We want that to kind of be Jerick McKinnon. So we're going to focus on wide receiver and tight end with the next few picks and see what kind of happens there. Still 11 picks away before us. Mind getting Mike Gesicki or Irv Smith. Those are some guys I have a decent amount of ownership on. I like Tanyan a decent amount too. Like if Aaron Rodgers goes back to Green Bay, which it seems like now he has to, because he didn't really threaten them with the COVID holdout July 2nd path. So now Aaron Rodgers has lost leverage. Now he's just going to be sacrificing tons and tons of money if he doesn't show up in August. Plus having to pay back $18 million signing bonus that he would have got to keep if he had either pressured them to trade him before July 2nd or taken the COVID opt-out. 9 picks away. Lots of wide receivers and tight ends I like in this range, so don't really regret taking Trey Sermon, considering we got him almost a full round after ADP. Got Josh Jacobs a full round after ADP. Got J.K. Dobbins 9 picks after. So we've gotten good value on our running backs, though we are definitely a little too heavy on them. So Higbee, Gesicki, Irv Smith, Tanyan are the tight ends that I'm the most interested in. Don't really like Logan Thomas. Historically, Ryan Fitzpatrick pass rate to tight ends is one of the lowest of all time. I believe it's just over 10%. So, I think it's hard to project more than even if you're giving Logan Thomas a boost for being good, which I'm not certain is necessary, so I'm not certain how good he is, you're still probably looking at 70 targets. Maybe 80. Last year he had 110. I don't think there's any way he has that many with Curtis Samuel, De'Ami Brown in town, and Ryan Fitzpatrick being the passer. Still lots and lots of wide receivers I really like in this range. Pretty much everybody you see on top of the board, minus Devontae Parker, who's thankfully not there for us to pick anymore. Let's see if this Nick guy decides to take a running back this time, finally. There goes the Hig Beast. Elijah Moore. So do we want to pick our wide receiver? Or do we want to pick our tight end? Take Mike Gesicki. Seemed like he had a pretty good rapport with Tua, and Miami has a really good schedule down the stretch. I wasn't going to take 2 tight ends or 2 wide receivers. I was going to take one of each, so there's just a lot of wide receivers I'm still fine with taking. Any of the top 4 on this list, and then some more down the way here. So a Tua stack is not really. So we kind of have like no stacking really going on. Nothing like to look out for stacking, because like at most we're only going to get one target for Tua. Would really like to get Marvin Jones here. Nice. Pretty happy to get Marvin Jones there. Like him quite a bit. He traveled with his offensive coordinator, I believe, to Jacksonville from Detroit. I don't think that they're like super enthused with DJ Chark from the sound of things. So. But pretty much no matter what, I think Jones will be in their top 3 wide receivers. And he always seems to produce. So we'll probably be looking at tight end, wide receiver again when it comes around to us. Probably kind of looking at one of each. Wish I could like leave it on Peter's team without it changing so quickly. Here's in Swift, Hurts with Rager, Andrews. My disdain for DJ Moore makes me not like this team as much as I probably should. I really don't. I mean, it's not like I dislike DJ Moore. I just don't like him in round 3. I do like him, like as a player. Just feel like he's overvalued. Still some tight ends I like a decent amount. Irv Smith and Tanyan. Troutman I'm pretty much only drafting if I'm like playing to stack Winston. I just think his ADP is just out of control. The Saints don't throw to tight ends much. I know I'm a Saints fan wearing my Colston with the Louisiana patch from Katrina, the Katrina patch. But the Saints passing to tight ends is like just a falsehood. They passed to Jimmy Graham a ton because he was Jimmy Graham, and then once Jimmy Graham left, they didn't throw to tight ends that much. Like Jared Cook, I think, had like 43 catches or something last year. And with the Saints, it's kind of going to be the big 2, Kamara and Mike Thomas, and then just like a random third guy every game. And I don't think the third guy is going to be something you can nail down. Like everybody's like, oh, who's the wide receiver 2 so I can like get him, like Traquan Smith or Callaway or Harris, or is Troutman going to be great? I think that they're all just going to have games where they're the number 3 most used thing. There'll probably even be games where Latavius Murray, gets a decent amount of touches just because a power run game happens to work against a certain defense. That's kind of just how the Saints roll. It's like Kamara and Mike Thomas, and then whatever we can exploit. But whatever we can exploit changes quite a bit week to week. So I definitely don't hate, drafting 3 tight ends this build. I'm only planning to draft 1 more quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is off the board. We're definitely not going to be drafting Drew Lock in a 2 quarterback build. So there's Irv Smith and Tanyan. There's like some other guys I still like at tight end as well. So I think I'll just take T.Y. Hilton here. T.Y. Hilton, not a guy I like that much, but I just don't have much of him. I think this time, like last time I took the tight end because there was tons of wide receivers I liked. This time I just think there's a lot of tight ends I like, so I'd rather take the wide receiver first and see what tight end makes it back to us. Like, I don't hate getting a share of Gerald Everett if I'm picking 3. I don't mind Jonnu Smith if I'm picking 3. I can't take Jonnu Smith because it's the same bye week as Gesicki, which also means Hunter Henry is going to be off our board. Don't hate Gronk. Don't hate Jared Cook. some guys that go pretty late I don't mind too, like Austin Hooper and people like that. Or the QB situation's kind of looking like, oh wow, Aaron Rodgers is still on the board. It's crazy. So I'm trying to kind of hoping to get Irv Smith or Rob Tonyan. I guess we'll get one of them. Gonna take Tonyan. If Aaron Rodgers is back, the touchdown upside is large with Tonyan. The old Pooh RBs are flying. So we're definitely not going to take a running back until like the last round. Then we're just going to take some pass catching running back. Hopefully Jerick McKinnon. Maybe somebody else will take him. Never know. Don't think he's very popular. Pretty much got him in round 18 anytime I wanted to get him around 18. Which isn't that often, just as a fifth running back in this type of build. So we can take another tight end. Austin Hooper will be off of our radar because he shares bye week with Tonyan. He's a guy I like kind of late. Cole Kmet's a dude I have some interest in that could possibly be around when we pick. As far as quarterbacks go, if Aaron Rodgers was to not go by our next pick, which I don't suspect will happen, I suspect he'll be gone. We could grab Aaron Rodgers to go with Tonyan. Could grab Wentz to go with T.Y. Hilton. I like both of those options. We could grab like Brian Edwards if he's there when we pick, and then see if we could get Carr quite a bit later. No, there's still the option of Daniel Jones stacks if you want them. Although Shepard just went. He was one of the guys I was looking at because Shepard, Slayton, and all those guys. Aaron Rodgers did go, so we won't be doing that. I want to see where Wentz is compared to this board. It's getting up there, so we could definitely consider Wentz in one of our next two picks. I would like to get him. It's like there anything in the wide receivers that's just like not atrocious. Wow, Melvin Gordon round 13, that's some sick value. Oof, just fucking ugly. Guess of these guys, I like Jamison Crowder a good bit more than the rest, so we'll take him. Probably either taking a tight end or Wentz with our next pick. So, kind of looking at Troutman, Jared Cook, Carson Wentz. Peter's pick. He ended up with A.J. Dillon. I like that. He's got Matt Ryan to go with his Calvin Ridley. That's nice. Be interested to see if he goes 2 or 3 QBs this build. I'm guessing I'll probably go 2 with Hurts and Ryan, but I could see an argument for going for 3 if he could get like Derek Carr or Darnold. We are at the point of the draft where people are taking Dwayne Eskridge. So to me, the values on the board seem to be Troutman and Wentz. I also might just take Daniel Jones if Wentz goes. All right, we're going to take Wentz. Don't need quarterback anymore. So we're just going to be taking a wide receiver at tight end. Who do we kind of have interest in at tight end? I've not had a single share of Blake Jarwin yet, so that's mildly interesting to me. I like Cole Kmet. I like Jared Cook. I like Troutman. Yeah, wouldn't hate one share of Jarwin. Can't really take Hooper because of bye week issues. Could just take somebody kind of later, but we already know round 18 we're planning to take Jerick McKinnon, so we don't really need to quite bottom of the barrel our third tight end. So I believe we'll try to go tight end, wide receiver in the next 2 picks, and then wide receiver and McKinnon. We have this weird kind of old dude wide receiver grouping here, Marvin Jones, T.Y. Hilton, and Jamison Crowder. I mean, Crowder's not old. Those guys are old, but tight ends go flying off the board. I think Tony is my favorite wide receiver on the board by a good bit. I don't mind Slayton. Could take Zacchaeus away from Peter, who might want him for his Matt Ryan stack. Right now, I would lean towards Jared Cook or Blake Jarwin with my next pick, and then a wide receiver after that. I think that those are the only 2 tight ends left that excite me at all. Can't take Doyle because he shares a bye week with Gesicki. So I'm just going to have the 1 stack piece for Carson Wentz. I think that's fine. Oh, you know what we can do is around 17, we could take Zach Pascal. I don't hate that. So I'm going to take a tight end here. One way or the other. I'm going to take Jared Cook. So we get Gesicki, Tanyan, and Cook. A lot of tight end upside with these 3 tight ends, at least. A lot of touchdown upside, I meant. Got a lot of tight end upside with their tight ends. So I imagine Peter will take Zacchaeus with one of his picks, but he may not. People I have interest in with my picks: Slayton, KJ Hamler, Deshaun Jackson, Nico. We did not have interest in Robinson, being that we already have Mecole and Tyreek. Peter's pick, he's on the 3 RB build so far. His third one was A.J. Dillon to go with Swift and Akers. So I'm into the hyper fragile RB and only drafting 4, but I don't do it with that kind of capital. I have to have 3 that I've drafted in my first 5 rounds to go hyper fragile. This one we had 3 in our first 5 rounds, but I also don't do hyper fragile with shared bye week. Hyper fragile being only 4 running backs. Some people do 3. That's I don't do that. Peter took Jarwin. It was Hooper. So I'm kind of between Deshaun Jackson and Nico. I have a lot more shares of Nico, but I also like Nico a lot more. So I'll probably take Nico, and if he gets skanked from us here, then we'll take Deshaun Jackson. All right. Let's do that. So we're still hoping to pick up Jerick McKinnon with one of our last 2 picks, and maybe Zach Pascal with our other of our last 2 picks. Like pretty much if Paris Campbell or Michael Pittman or T.Y. Hilton get hurt, and Zach Pascal is going to be pretty decent again. I think he has back-to-back seasons with 600 yards. He's like a pretty weak stack piece for Wentz, but he is a stack piece for Wentz. So kind of know who we want with our last 2 picks. Zach Pascal is way down there. I think that there will be other options than McKinnon that are like similar, like Gio. So bye week 8's the bye week we can't take another guy off. So yeah, there's enough like 5th RBs that I don't despise, that I'm not like hyper concerned about getting McKinnon. I don't mind like Malcolm Brown or Salvin Ahmed, Ramondre Stevenson. I'm a little off Penny for the moment just because I heard he had another knee surgery. Philip Lindsay and Gio are interesting. Gio could be in that heavy James White role. He just went. Yeah, wide receivers you end up just having to take so far ahead of ADP in these drafts with that Peter runs. Because his followers are very, very, very 0 RB slanted. Anything sticking out at wide receiver? I don't mind like Josh Palmer, Allen Lazard, Callaway, Zach Pascal. I have quite a few stacks with Wentz and Paris Campbell, so I guess it would make sense to get a Wentz Zach Pascal stack in case something happens to Paris Campbell super early in the season again. Those stacks would kind of die, but then this stack would be kind of boosted. They wouldn't be dead because Paris Campbell's ADP isn't that high, but you get the point. They would be hurt. It's going to be interesting to go back and watch Peter's video after I finish this draft. Let's do that. Yeah, he has two seasons in a row with 600 yards and 5 touchdowns. Just certainly a usable round 17 or 18 pick. Let's see what Peter finishes off with. He only went 2 tight ends and 2 quarterbacks. I don't really like just Jarwin as your second tight end. Prefer to see 3 tight ends in that build. I'm fine with Jalen Hurts, Ryan. You're just going like so low at so many positions. It's basically like, so he does take Ahmed to get a 4th running back. So I think that's a reasonable pick. I also think Malcolm Brown is a reasonable pick. Byron Pringle is not someone I'm interested in. Don't really believe the hype train on him. Mainly because he's 27 years old. Like, if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. He's been worse than Robinson, who's younger than him now for 2 years. So I really don't understand. I do know that, there was few reports that came out when they were talking about Sammy Watkins potentially leaving. They were like, oh, well, we have Byron Pringle that can step up. But I don't know. I don't know about that. Wow, Jerick McKinnon had 6 touchdowns last year. I forgot that he had that, little spell where he was actually pretty good for San Francisco. So we are all done in this draft. We end up with Mahomes, Wentz, Chubb, Dobbins, Josh Jacobs, Trey Sermon, and Jerick McKinnon. So I think our quarterbacks are fantastic. Our running backs are fantastic. Our wide receivers are good, but definitely not fantastic. Definitely good, though. And tight end, I would say, is sort of weak, but we do have 3, and at least it's dudes that score touchdowns, which is pretty much what you need. Just with something that worries me about a guy like Cole Kmet this year. I would love to have more Cole Kmet, because I have all the Cole Kmet in Dynasty, and I really, really like him, but the Jimmy Graham being there for 1 more year is super fucking annoying. I think he's going to vulture some TDs. Well, that'll do it for this one, and good luck in your draft, folks.